Assalamu alaikum. So inshallah, we're going to ask everyone to come to the front because this is going to be kind of like a little bit more of an interactive session than we normally do for summer nights. So inshallah, I think having everyone together in the front would be helpful. So if everybody can just kind of collect their way over to the front, that would be much appreciated, inshallah. Because again, today is going to be a little bit more of like a discussion than like a lecture because it's going to be something that's a little bit more involved, inshallah, than that. So if we can just get everyone to the front, inshallah, then we can get started. All right. Okay. All right. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So, welcome everybody. Alhamdulillah. Hope everyone's doing well. Summer nights. This is going to be the last session of summer nights because summer's over. I don't want to be depressing, but summer is pretty much over, right? I think a lot of y'all's semester probably starts relatively soon, correct? Next week? In a week? Inshallah, start getting prepped. So, alhamdulillah, I wanted to end off with a really good kind of just session together where we're able to talk about something that is very personal to every single person, and that is going to kind of have like a different angle depending on who you are. Everyone's going to have a different angle when it comes to this particular topic. And it's about navigating parent expectations, like who you are as a son or a daughter and how to handle pressures from your parents. I mean, this is not an easy topic to discuss because it involves a lot of emotion, right? People get emotional when it comes to talking about their parents and, you know, the expectations their parents put on them and how to kind of, you know, deal with all the standards and the things that your parents tell you to do. And so inshallah, I wanted to kind of really bring everyone together for a really kind of heartfelt conversation. I don't know how many people saw the Instagram story earlier this today from Roots, but we put out an Instagram story with a link sharing a question about this program in Lead to Tonight, and alhamdulillah, a lot of people answered, and I wanted to share a couple of answers with you guys to kind of just show you guys exactly what's on people's minds. So the question that, you know, we posed on the Instagram story was, what's the greatest challenge for you in managing the expectations of your parents versus you trying to find your own pathway in life? Okay, so just think about that question. What is the greatest challenge for you as a son or a daughter trying to manage the expectations of your parents versus finding your own pathway in life? Okay, how do you merge those two, or is there even a merging of those two things? And I'll read some things that people said. Okay, some people said, picking my major. My parents want me to do biology, but I want to do a different major. They aren't happy with me, but it's my life. What do you think I should do? This person thinks it's a Q&A. All right. Another person goes, I feel like I don't know who I am. I don't know if my opinions, thoughts, interests are mine or were pushed onto me by my parents. I don't know if the goals I want to accomplish are mine or my parents. I don't know what I want in life. I don't know if I'm truly pursuing things that I'm interested in or things that my parents are interested in. So there's confusion of quite literally like identity, right? Like, what do I even want to do with my life? Like, do I have a passion? Is it my parents kind of driving my passion? Because maybe they see a lack thereof, right? So this person's speaking on that. Somebody said, trying to achieve their happiness through my own pathways versus the pathways they want me to go through, whether that's through jobs they want me to pursue or the type of deen they want me to practice. So again, even like a kind of a little bit of like a conflict in the way they even read certain concepts like Islam, right? Like your idea of being a practicing Muslim is a certain kind of prototype and your parents is completely different, right? Another person says, threats from my parents, like threats to cut me off or even weaponizing Islam against me if I don't do things the way that they want to. And so you see like some of these reflections are like really deep. They're like deep cuts, right? Like, and again, it's not easy to admit something like that. Somebody said, overcoming the decades of people pleasing that has been instilled in me from being the youngest child in my family, right? So somebody says like they have this like overwhelming need to be a people pleaser because that's what they knew growing up, right? So you can tell from a lot of these answers that there's this really kind of like interesting dynamic of how you go about your life as like a young person and how to handle your parents', you know, expectations of you. So the way that we're going to do this session today, inshallah, is going to involve a little bit of kind of group conversation and then y'all's kind of thoughts and feedback, inshallah, into the greater pool here, inshallah. All right. So we're going to start off with a very interesting question. All right. This is going to kind of, jog a little bit of conversation here. All right. You can read it on your screen. It says, do you think parental pressure is always rooted in love? All right. Do you think parental pressure is always rooted in love? How can love sometimes feel like control? Now, every parent you talk about, or majority of parents you talk to, they're going to say, listen, everything that I'm doing for you, or every standard that I have for you, is always out of love. It's not out of any sort of, ill intent. It's not out of any sort of bad, pressure that I'm trying to put on you. It's out of love, right? But sometimes can that love feel like control, right? And if so, how? How does that love feel like control, and how does it kind of impact you as a person, all right? So what I want everyone to do, inshallah, is I want you guys to kind of turn to the person next to you, and I want you guys to discuss this particular question, and then we're going to kind of get everyone's thoughts as we kind of wrap up this particular question together, inshallah, okay? So what I want everyone to do is kind of just turn to the person. It's going to be organic, natural. I'm not going to number you off or anything like that. Just turn to the person next to you, and I want you to kind of share your own comments on this particular point here, which is that can parental, love sometimes come off as control? And how so? All right? So go ahead, bismillah. You guys should just turn to the person next to you and talk to each other real quick, inshallah. I'll give you guys literally 4 to 5 minutes, and then we're going to reconvene together, inshallah. And make sure you're getting everyone's thoughts, by the way. There shouldn't be any random people that are just kind of randomly left out. All right. Who's ready? Bismillah. Time to unveil all the trauma. Here we go. All right. All right. Who's going to be the first person? Bismillah. Ibrahim, go ahead. Start it off. Mm. So a little bit of projection in a weird way. All right. Gotcha. Okay. Y'all hear what Ibrahim said? So trying to kind of remedy their own personal experience, when they were younger, and trying to kind of I guess work through you to remedy something that they necessarily couldn't fix back in their time. Okay, very good. That's a deep cut, mashallah. That's a good solid start. All right, who else? Do you think all, parental pressure is always rooted in love? Sometimes does it feel like otherwise? Anybody? What do you guys think? Bismillah. I'm not like a narc. It's not gonna go back to your parents, by the way. All right, Jenna, go ahead. Yes, like so. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. You're like working against time, right? Because yeah, it's true, right? It's true. You're trying to kind of like cram a lot of things, right? You know what's funny? I'll tell you an interesting story. I a lot of times growing up, you're kind of like weirdly like just fantasizing about this idea of you leaving your parents' house one day, right? Like that's something that you're like excited to kind of like start your own life and have your own place and have your own kind of, freedom, et cetera, et cetera. I remember, subhanAllah, one time I was thinking about this, and when I was in college, it was the same exact thoughts in my mind. But then, like, after I moved out, hindsight's 2020 always, right? You get to kind of like really live in real time things that you were thinking about before. And I remember, subhanAllah, when I was sitting in my first apartment at like the age of 22, I think I was like 22, 23, and I realized something very, very eye opening that inshallah, obviously, like just say Allah Ta'ala gives you like a decently long and healthy life, you really don't live many years of your life with your parents. Like you really don't. Like let's say for example you live until like inshallah like 70 or 80, right? Realistically, you're actually going to live maybe like a third of your entire life with your parents and that's it. So when you think about it, it's actually not that much time. It just feels like a lot of time right now because you're just immersed into it. So you're kind of in the thick of it, right? But in hindsight, it's really kind of like a very kind of minority portion of your life. And you only realize that, subhanAllah, once you're out of it, right? So what Jana was saying is pretty relevant, which is that they start to kind of see that, right? I don't have much time with this person anymore. And not in terms of like just their life, but like in this context, right? Where they're living in a house with me together, right? It's like a very temporary thing if you really think about it in retrospect. So very good, very, very good. Anybody else? What do we think? Yes. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Subhanallah, we don't, that's such a powerful statement, like we don't realize that our parents are also products of their parents, right? Like, I know a lot of times it's easy to lose that reality when you're like in an argument, like a heated argument, and you just don't understand why they're acting the way they're acting. And if you pause for a second, you might kind of start to think and realize that they might be acting the way they're acting because that was the way they were also treated growing up as well, right? I remember I was reading something really interesting. It's like, yeah, like this is your first time being a son or a daughter. This is also your parents' first time being a parent. Like they're also learning a lot through it, right? So perhaps they think that what they're doing is love, right? It's their own way of showing love. Like how many people has anybody ever done like love languages before? Like how do you show love towards like your friends or your family members, etc. Like some people are like acts of service. Some people are whatever it may be, like words of affirmation. Like these are different forms of showing people love, right? Some people, love, receiving gifts or giving gifts to people. That's their form of love, right? Um, Everyone shows love in a different way, right? And subhanAllah, that's why it's so important to be so in sync with people that you're around because it's important not only to know what your intake of love actually is, but what other people's intake of love is, right? So if your father, for example, alhamdulillah, if you have a dad or if you have a mom that's, in your family, and your dad's form of intaking love is like acts of service, you can't just go up to your dad and be like, Dad, you look great today. He's like, what? Like, that doesn't do anything for him. You know what I'm saying? Like for you, it might be a lot, right? Like if your father comes to you, like, wow, you look so good today, mashallah. Like the dress is nice or the shirt's really nice. You're like, oh, you really think so? Like for your dad, he doesn't care about that. Rather, what he cares about is, I don't know, like you randomly patching up something in the house that he was thinking about all week long, right? So that type of love is translated differently from person to person, right? So perhaps like their way of showing love may be like sitting down and just like advising you, sharing advice with you. And that's like the furthest thing in terms of love in your mind. You're like, yeah, I don't like being lectured. That's not love to me. So, but maybe that's their love language, right? So, subhanAllah, interesting thing to think about. Very good. Anybody else? Anybody else? What do we think? I had a lot of murmur and a lot of conversation, so I want to hear other people, inshallah. Anybody? Bismillah. Who wants to go? Going once. Going twice. All right. We're going to move to the next one, inshallah. All right. The next one is interesting. What fears, now this is like a deep cut. I'm going to ask you guys to go a layer deeper than you normally do. Okay. So you had like your little 3-foot, like shallow floaties on. Now I need you to go submerge a little bit. Okay. Sometimes certain things that people say to you are not always as they seem. Okay. Somebody might say something, or it's like they're saying it as a suggestion, but in reality, you know it's something different, right? And perhaps they're telling you something, but underneath, you know the motive is a little bit different, right? So the second question is, what fears do you think lie beneath your parents' expectations, right? They may be telling you, hey, like, I want you to be a doctor, right? Pretty much every single person in this room. Why? Like, why is it so obsessive? Why is that love for that particular standard and that particular job and career so obsessive? Is it a financial thing? Is it stability? Is it social class, right? Like, what is the deeper cut behind their expectations? And so I give you a couple examples: financial security, community judgment, losing connection to faith, etc., etc. Okay? So what I want you guys to do now, again, same format, inshallah. You use the people next to you, have a conversation with them about what you feel is relevant in your own life, right? You're like, yeah, you know, one time my mom did say something and I felt like it was more about like the community perception of me than the actual ask, right? Like if your mom tells you, hey, like I need you to come to this dawat, your mom, you know she doesn't care about you coming to that dawat, but you know she cares about Shazia auntie and what she's gonna say about you if you don't come to that dawat, okay? So think about it a little bit deeper, all right? So what fears do you think lie beneath your parents' expectations? Do your parents expect you to get a master's degree? Why? Your parents never got a master's degree, so why is it so important to them that you get one, right? Your parents want you to do something in the medical field. Why? They were never doctors. Why do you think they care so much about the medical field and they're not even in it, right? So talk to the person next to you, inshallah, and try to figure out, hey, is there a deeper reason or a deeper, fear, a possible fear that lies beneath my parents' expectations? All right, go ahead, bismillah. Talk to each other real quick. All right, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, inshallah. All right, Bismillah. What do we got, guys? Here we go. What do we got? What fears do you think lie beneath your parents' expectations? All right. Who wants to start off? Who wants to start and share, inshallah, so that, yes, go ahead. God, she's like a real character. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. That's interesting. Gotcha. Okay. Can I ask a question real quick? How many people in here? How many people in here's parents are like immigrants? Okay, so majority of people. Gotcha. Do you guys feel that perhaps like a parent expectation of you may be because of a lack of their own motivation when they were younger? Does anybody feel that way at all? No? Okay. Because Ibrahim just mentioned that like perhaps like there is this reality to them not having that same kind of like motivation in their own early life, and that's why they feel the need to kind of motivate you because they never really got that type of attention when they were younger, possibly. Okay, very good. Yes. Mm, mm, yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, very, very good, right? Like, subhanAllah, it's that's a very, very valid point, which is that, perhaps they grew up in a context where none of this was even like an option for them, right? Like going to college wasn't even an option for them. So they feel like their sacrifice was actually moving their entire home. Like for example, I'll give you guys an example. My mom and dad, they moved to America when they were 38 and 39, right? Like so they were like kind of in their literally middle of their life, right? Uprooting from like a place they knew for their entire lives growing up, and then starting somewhere completely fresh. I remember, subhanallah, it was so interesting. I will never forget this. For the first 2 years of my life, as like a kindergartner, first grader, I remember I used to see my mom walking to Walgreens for work. Like that's what she used to do. Like she didn't have a car, she didn't know how to drive at that time. And subhanallah, my mom was like an actual like really really like respected like school teacher back when she was working overseas. But then she came here and like life completely kind of changed for her. And no longer was there that kind of professional career that she loved. She had to kind of work at like the Walgreens kind of cashier pharmacy. That's where she worked, right? For a period of time. And that's kind of the sacrifice that she had to make. And so going back to what, the brother was saying here is that perhaps they kind of see in their own way that, hey, my sacrifice was I left everything. And now I want you to do something that I never had the chance to do. You know, very good, mashallah, very very good. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share? Is there like an underlying fear that your parents may have beneath their expectations? Who wants to share? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. SubhanAllah, I always say like the people that truly care about you are the people that make dua for you and want things for you long after they're gone, right? And this, by the way, is like even beyond like parent relationship. This is true about your friends, right? Like your true friends are people who make dua for you and they don't really even care if they see the fruition of that dua in their lifetime. Like they want you to benefit, right? And hopefully, inshallah, the ultimate dua is like for the akhirah, right? That like I want this person to enter Jannah, right? I want this person to have the best of this world and also the hereafter. And so, it's a very profound reality, right? Is that, people usually, subhanAllah, and especially talking about parents, is that they want you to have goodness even long after they're gone, right? Very, very good. All right, who else? Who else wants to share, inshallah? Yes, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, but absolutely, right? I mean, um, I'll tell you this, like, I mean, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm a parent, but my daughter is like a very young kid. She's 3. I'll tell you, there are certain nights where like we're so tired. My routine with Aya, and it just happened literally right now. I was in Atlanta all weekend. I was in Atlanta starting from Friday morning, and I just literally landed in Dallas at 8 p.m. tonight, like 2.5 hours ago. And so I landed, I got home, and it was bedtime, right? Like 9 o'clock ish was bedtime for my daughter. And I was putting her to bed, and I was like trying to like rush it because oh my god, I have this program at Roots in like literally 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I gotta like put her to bed, get ready, all that stuff, trying to give my wife a break. And my routine with Aya, whenever I put her to bed, is always قل هو الله أحد قل أعوذ برب الفلق قل أعوذ برب الناس. Like those are the three, right? And I was so like in a rush today. I was like trying to like speed pat her to bed, so like she just goes to sleep. And then I, subhanallah, like right before I put her down, I realized I forgot to do the surahs with her, and I felt like this overwhelming, tremendous feeling of guilt. And it was funny because it wasn't guilt of like, oh, like I feel like a bad Muslim. I felt guilty because I feel that like me doing those surahs with her is something that she will benefit from spiritually. You see? And so even that small kind of example that I'm giving you guys, maybe like a small fraction of what your parents as older people obviously may feel with y'all and with even like with me, even with my parents, right? That they have this own relationship with Allah. It's always really interesting to think about it that way, right? That you, as much as you have your own relationship with Allah, your parents are also in their own lane of their highway in their relationship with Allah as well, right? So like Allah will ask you about your own life, right? Allah will ask you, hey, did you do due diligence of being a son? Did you do right by being a daughter? But then it's so interesting to think about that on the day of judgment, Allah will have your parents in front of him and he will be asking questions to them and you can't help them at all. Isn't that like a daunting thought in your mind? Isn't that weird to think that like you're, and it's so weird because like, I don't know like how many of you guys feel this way, but like even if you're really annoyed with your parents, anyone ever messes with them, you feel really, really like upset, right? You get really bothered by it. Why? Because you have this sense of just like softness for them at the end of the day. And this is why, by the way, that relationship is so sensitive. You can get extremely triggered by it, but you can also feel extremely protective over it. So to think on the day of judgment, Allah will be very, very just kind of, focused on your parents and what they did with their life, right? Think about like as a son or a daughter, possibly seeing that and how that's going to make you feel. And again, on that day, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. You're going to be worried about yourself because at that time, inshallah, Allah will also be judging you for your own life with your own family. But think about how that's going to feel for you on the day of judgment. And subhanallah, what I think the benefit is that it makes you realize now that, yeah, as much as I have my own struggles that I feel in my own life and my own relationship with Allah, my parents are also working in their own way towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well, right? So it's a very powerful kind of reflection to think about, just kind of sympathizing about what they're going through as well, right? Very, very good. All right. Very good. So the dini aspect is something that you brought up. Very good. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share something? Yes, go ahead. Mm, mm, mm. SubhanAllah, right? The absence of something makes a person feel a little bit more strongly about when they have that opportunity in their own life, right? Very, very good. Very, very good. All right. Anybody else before we move on? Okay, khair inshallah. This is going to be a little bit interesting, right? Now we're going to talk a little bit about aligning your own goals with your parents' expectations. So the question reads, how do you tell the difference between your own goals and the expectations your parents have set of you? Can the two ever align? Can they ever harmonize with one another? All right. So there's some smiles, right? They're like, yeah, good joke, right? Like, let's talk about this. All right. Your parents' expectations of you, your own goals, what you aspire to do in your life. Can they ever align, or are they so antithetical to one another that there has to be some sort of crazy break in the road that you're eventually going to hit, inshallah, at some point or the other, right? So talk about this again with the person next to you, and then inshallah we'll reconvene in another 4 to 5 minutes, okay? Go ahead, bismillah. Talk about, well, a good thing to talk about is like actually talk about your goals. Like, what is your goal? And talk about, hey, maybe your parents don't even know what your goal is. Like, seriously, your parents might not even know what you want to do with your life, right? So talk a little bit about that. All right, here we go. Bismillah. Okay, so I want you guys to answer this one. I want you guys to answer this one in like part A, part B. So part A, I want you to answer with what are your goals, right? Like what is a goal that you have? And it could be anything, by the way. Like it doesn't have to be career. It can be spiritual, it could be social, it could be familial, it could be, whatever you want it, emotional, whatever kind of element you want to choose, you can choose it at that. But what is a goal that you have in your own life? And what's like your parents' opinion on it, right? And can your parents' opinion and your goal align? Or is there going to be an inevitable awkward break in the road where like there's going to be a parting of ways, right? So let's share those thoughts, inshallah. And you know what? I'm gonna go first. All right. Um, my decision to work towards becoming a an imam in a community, right, was something that both my parents were extremely, extremely scared about, right? Why? And I'll give you guys the context. What are imams overseas? They are the people that flunked out of every secular opportunity of all time, right? They're the ones that like did not do well in school, so they had to memorize Quran, right? Like, and had to go teach other people Quran and go be an imam somewhere in some random masjid in Pakistan. I don't know. Like that was what they were used to, right? Like literally, I'm pretty sure my family, some of them overseas, thought like I was broke when I decided to become an imam. Like they're like, so what is he gonna do for food? Like hunt squirrel in the backyard? Like like they were literally concerned about like my well-being. So they were very, very concerned about like how's this gonna work ever, right? I went to college, by the way. My undergrad degree when I was in university was in teacher education and a minor in English and psychology. So I literally graduated from the University of Memphis in 2016 with a teaching license. Like I was supposed to be like a grade school teacher, like a high school teacher. And so my parents kind of had that expectation, like, you know what, he's gonna go full on in this career, and that literally never happened. Alhamdulillah, I became, whatever I became because of that was the qadr of Allah. So at one moment there was a very awkward and tough conversation where I almost had to tell my parents to trust me. Like, hey, trust me, I got this. Just like stay with me here. Stay with me. In a few years you'll be able to see, inshallah, that this is something that I can prove to you that is worth your while, right? So that was the tough kind of reality of my own goals versus my parents' expectations. And the ultimate reality of that is that my parents just had to trust me. And it was awkward because while you have to prove something to your parents, like there is that awkward time of just waiting and letting time do its thing, right? You're not gonna have that answer right away. Okay? So that was my own personal story when it came to my own career with my parents, right? All right, who wants to share, inshallah? Who wants to go? That was a career part of it, but like anybody can share any other expectation part of it, yeah. Okay. Okay. Mm. 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 Okay. Very good. Very, very good. I like I the compromise is something that I feel is the touchy part of it, because certain people even say like, do I have to compromise, right? If it's my own goals and my aspirations, like should I have to compromise that? Or should my parents trust me that inshallah, hopefully, that I have a good head on my shoulders, and I know at least, the direction that I want to go in, right? Very good. Very, very good. All right. Who wants to go? Who wants to go next, Bismillah? What do we got? Don't be shy, guys. Who wants to go? What's a goal that you have and your parents' expectations of that goal. Yes. Mm. Mm. Wow, subhanAllah, Allah reward you. That's definitely a very, very commendable, mashallah, role that you're playing, which is obviously like, I mean, nobody asks for that, right? Sometimes when certain responsibilities are thrown at you, like you don't ever ask for it, but subhanAllah, that's just the way that life sometimes works, which is that you get a lot of things you don't ask for, and you don't get a lot of things that you do ask for, right? That's the reality of the dunya. And subhanAllah, what I will share though is that if our deen teaches us anything, is that sometimes it's the way that you respond to things that you never asked for that will gain your paradise, right? Um, there are certain things that Allah will give you in your life that you have no say in, right? Your family is one of them. Like, what family you're born into, who your parents are, who your children are, who your siblings are, right? Those are things that you sometimes have no control over, and you possibly will get the highest levels of paradise because of your reaction to those things, right? You could look at the situation in Gaza and use that as evidence, right? Did the people of Palestine ever ask for this? Absolutely not. Of course, their dreams, their aspirations, their hopes were that they live a, you guys ever seen those like videos of the Palestinian children, like, and people interviewing them and asking them like what their dreams are, right? And some of those little kids, they'll be like, yeah, my dream was to become a doctor one day. One of my dreams was to become, a person who has a large family myself. And one of my dreams was that I live in a free Palestine where my house is safe and my neighbors are safe and my friends are safe and I can go to school like a normal kid. You know, and subhanAllah, when you look at their life, they don't have anything close to that. And because they don't have anything close to that, perhaps their Jannah is given to them because of their reaction to what they never asked for, right? So subhanAllah, it's a very, very kind of, it's a divine type of reaction, right? Subhanallah, which is powerful. So Jazakallah khair. Thank you for sharing that. Alhamdulillah. All right, anybody else? A goal that they have, their parents' expectations to that goal? Yes? Mm, mm, yeah. Yeah, they're like, why can't you be a doctor for humans? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I get it. Yeah. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I always I'll share this with you guys, it's kind of like an older brother that um if you ever have those tough conversations with your parents, don't ever expect them to be like a one conversation end all be all. It'll never be that way. I don't know how many people in here have ever had really tough combos with their folks. I guarantee you that it was never a one-time thing. It was always like, all right, cool. So when's round 2 of this boxing match, right? Like you went through round 1, took a couple to the chin, like left the room, felt a little weird, right? And then you knew in like 1 week it's gonna be right back into the thick of it, right? And to kind of have that expectation that, oh, everything will be solved in just like one moment, it's just not a realistic, it's not a realistic expectation, right? So be willing to have that conversation. Be willing to have those conversations with your parents, all right? Anybody else before we move on to the last one? Anybody else? Okay. I wanted to do a really cool last one. Okay, ready for this one? I'm actually going to share the Slido QR code for you guys because this is going to get a little bit personal, but inshallah, it'll be worth it, okay? So I'm going to literally actually write it up here for you guys, and I'm going to share the screen so y'all be able to see it, inshallah, okay? So I'm going to put a open text. Okay. All right. I'm going to surprise you with this one. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share the QR code with you guys, inshallah. And give me 1 second. Inshallah, you guys will be able to see it. All right. Okay. All right, y'all ready? Here we go. So let me share this. All right. All right, so this is going to be the last one, and you guys need your phones for this, all right, because you're going to have to scan the QR code, and I'm going to ask you guys to punch in the answers to this, inshallah, and it's all going to be anonymous, so you're going to be able to see each other's answers, but you won't be able to know, obviously, who's who is who, okay? So this is going to be the question up on the screen. If it's one thing you can tell your parents right now, what would it be, all right? This is going to be really interesting, all right? And take this like really seriously because again, like it's anonymous. Pour your heart out. No one's gonna see it, but share something that if you could, in all seriousness and in all honesty, share with your folks right now, what would it be? What would that one thing that you could share with them be? All right. And inshallah, we're going to kind of go through the list. And it's okay. Don't feel bad if it's like a little bit uncomfortable. Don't feel bad if it's like, not the most caring and the most kind of sensitive. If it's something painful, it's okay to share it. But it'll help us be able to understand, like, where am I, right, in this journey? How do I process my own feelings? How do I process my own emotions when it comes to this, right? You can say I love you and also share other things as well, right? So you're not a terrible person if you want to share something that may be a little bit tough to talk about, okay? Very good. MashaAllah. A lot of people say I love you, which is very good. MashaAllah. Very, very good. All right? Somebody said, I understand where you're coming from, and thank you for everything. Someone said, thank you for coming to America. Can you buy me Chipotle? I'm sure you're just spending that bank account in Chipotle money. Somebody said, I love you, and I'm so grateful for you both. I'm sorry if I haven't been the best daughter and if I haven't been supportive. I feel like I've been trying my best, but Allah knows. Okay? Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. That's meaningful, right? Like, just to like know that you're trying your best, right? And by the way, like, we might be failing every day, but that's okay. That's an okay thing to admit because it's not always going to be the easiest and the smoothest journey of all time, right? Somebody said, I wish you learned how to regulate your emotion and communicate effectively before you had children. I mean, subhanAllah. And look, again, don't judge. Why? Because it may be something that person's possibly struggling with, right? That there is this kind of, and again, by the way, they said, I wish, right? And I translate that as like, I make dua that this improves, right? And look, your parents are not perfect people. They may also have trouble processing their own emotions, right? I mean, think about how many of us, our parents don't ever outwardly express love to us verbally or physically, right? They have a hard time doing that. So they may be going through their own personal kind of, challenges as well, okay? I'm very grateful for you, alhamdulillah. Somebody said, I'm sorry we haven't been able to figure out our relationship, but I love you and inshallah we will get there. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Someone said, thank you for your indirect support, but I really wish it was easier to just talk with you. Subhanallah. You know, I don't know if anyone's ever seen that video that came out, just, I think it was like a month ago. There was a sister, it was a Muslim sister. She basically just admitted openly, she said that my relationship with my parents is a love that's from like the sense of servitude, not from like an emotional connection. She was like, I will always love my mom. I'll always love my dad. Why? Because I'm there to just be there for them, right? I'll always serve them. I'll always be there for them to massage their feet or get them water or make them coffee, like, you know, get them a plate of food or whatever they need me to do, I'll do it for them. And I'll always love them for that. But they are never the person that I go to for emotional needs, right? And as tough as it was for her to admit that, it's very, very good that she was honest about it. And I'll tell you something, subhanAllah, by the way, your relationship with your parents is not an all or nothing relationship. If you don't feel an emotional connection towards your parents, it doesn't mean that there's no love there. Love is different for every single person. I might love my mom because, subhanAllah, like I just know how much she did for me. I may not have like this emotional, like vulnerable connection with her, but there is that love, right? And it's okay to admit that, all right? Very good. Somebody said, sometimes I forget this is your first time being a parent too. Very good, right? Very good. Like they are trying to figure this out just as much as you are, right? And by the way, it doesn't matter if you're like 8 or if you're like 28. It's their first time having a 28-year-old. It's their first time having a 37-year-old. It's their first time having a 21-year-old. It's their first time having a 19-year-old. They're also trying to figure those things out. Very good. Someone says, I promise I know what I'm doing. I'll make you proud. Alhamdulillah. Very, very good, right? So all in all, and you guys can keep typing away. This is like your personal journal up here, by the way. What this proves to you, and the reason that I wanted to do this exercise is because I wanted you guys to always be able to listen to what you want to say a lot more than you do, right? I made you kind of type this out into reality for yourselves because inshallah, the hope is that if you're able to get this out into the open here, one day, inshallah, you will trust your relationship enough to be able to say it to them directly, okay? Some of these are beautiful, right? I forget sometimes my mom is just a girl. All right. I don't know how to put it into words, but I had a huge feeling of being indebted to you. I know I was a difficult kid and had so many problems with me. Now that I'm older, I wish I could be better. I wish I could be stronger for you. I pray for you and wish the best for you. Thanks for everything. SubhanAllah. They're my role models in everything, deen, marriage, academia, and that I'm thankful that they sacrificed decades of their lives to afford us opportunities. I promise to get us all out of this country so we can finally enjoy life. SubhanAllah. Where do you want to go, Turkey? When you say that you want me to be better than you, it makes me upset because I look up to you. SubhanAllah. That's powerful. That is so powerful, y'all. That's a crazy, crazy deep statement, subhanAllah. It makes me upset because I look up to you. I'm sorry if I haven't made it easy, but I just want to say that I love you both. Wow. I don't know if whoever shared this said this to their parents directly. It might make their entire life. Wallahi, it might. You know, like sometimes we feel that like we're the only ones going through like self-esteem stuff, you know, like, you know, I don't think that you think that I'm smart or you think I'm successful. Maybe your parents feel that you don't think that they're successful. Maybe your parents need you to boost their self-esteem just as much as you need them, you know? We never think about it. And it's tough because you always look at your parents as like your rocks in your life. So like, that's why what they say feels that much heavier, right? If they compliment you, it makes your day. And if they say something that's less than stellar, it ruins your entire month, right? But perhaps, you know, them saying, I want you to be better than me is like a secret cry for your help and your words of affirmation. SubhanAllah. Very, very powerful. Wow. That was very, very powerful, mashallah, whoever wrote that. Thank you for working so hard. Someone said, alhamdulillah, thank you both. I see you and I know you had a different circumstance growing up and I don't hold that against you. I pray that Allah continues to have mercy on both of you. Subhanallah. رَبَّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صِغِيرًا. Very good. Let's see here. Um, sorry you had to deal with me. I can't wait. All right. Inshallah. It's okay. It's halal. It's halal. It's okay. Now that I'm older, I don't understand why did certain things, and I hope I'm better. Oh, why I did certain things, and I hope I'm a better parent. But I know you tried your best, and I will always love you. May Allah grant all our parents good in this life and the next. Subhanallah. Right? And if you look up here, Subhanallah, do you see like the trajectory up here? By the way, this little stat line, you can see what the buzzwords people are using. Better. Some people are making dua with using Allah's name. Some people are saying best, life, and you can see some apologies, right? Again, these are all a means to hope that we are able to, inshallah, and maybe today's not the day, maybe this week is not the week, maybe this year is not the year, but inshallah, we get to a stage where we're able to share these things with our folks, inshallah, right? And to know that at the end of the day, this relationship that Allah gave you with your parents is something that is very divinely inspired. And every bit of patience, every bit of good etiquette, every bit of good conversation that you have with them is something that will be weighed heavily for you on the day of judgment, inshallah, right? Never ever think that it's anything less than that. Okay, we are going to stop there, inshallah. It's getting kind of late. We're going to pause because we wanted to just kind of use like an hour of our time tonight, inshallah. But hopefully, this is able to kickstart a few thoughts in your mind, inshallah. And hopefully, it'll encourage you to go home this evening, inshallah, and at least look at your mom or look at your dad and say, alhamdulillah, I appreciate these people, okay? Because sometimes I think certain moments and certain kind of, temporary realizations kind of make us not appreciate the things that we have. So hopefully, inshallah, conversations like this allow us to reorient and recalibrate our compass, inshallah, and realize things that we do have, alhamdulillah, and that the glass is always half full as a believer, all right? Inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for any mistakes. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward us for any of our good. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us all and reward our parents and forgive our parents and forgive us for any shortcomings as well. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah khairan, everybody. We appreciate you guys being here late with us. And inshallah, we'll see you guys hopefully this week for Soul Food on Thursday and other programming throughout the week. Jazakumullah khairan, y'all. Assalamu alaikum. If I can ask everybody to grab the chairs, the floor chairs that you're sitting on, and just move them to the front and kind of make the two rows that we normally do. And if I can ask the brothers to, inshallah, help